Hey guys, I'm Urizi. This story is all about what if Naruto became a log worshipper. As the log takes your place, you become the log and the log becomes you. For a moment, you are an extension of the log's blessing unto ninja. As the holy book of log enters Naruto's life, everything changes. Before we proceed with the story, please like and subscribe to this channel if you liked the video and don't forget to check the description for the other works of the author if you liked the story. Let's start. Chapter 4. One person mentioned the academy and, I can see it now. He was so excited. He would finally go to school, finally make friends, finally become a fully fledged ninja, one step on the way to ultimate log protection. He opened the door and walked in before stopping dead in his tracks. Wooden desks. Wooden chairs. Wooden pencils. Wooden display boards. Yes. Naruto screamed ecstatically, showing the Sandaime his torn piece of rice paper, which had been quite an inventive idea from the Hokage. I finally did it. The holy log will be protected with this power. He had quite a reason to be happy. After 2 weeks, 9 hours every day and 50 clones at it, which makes a whopping 262.5 days of non-stop work, Naruto had finally mastered, to some degree, wind element manipulation. He was about halfway there with his earth and water, but still had some work to do. Ahem. Sandaime coughed, getting the log-worshipping blonde's attention. Congratulations, learning it in 2 weeks is quite a feat, shadow clone, or not. But we should really get back to our Senkouken, Flash Fist, lessons. Ah yes, the Senkouken. The old Kage had begun to teach the style to the boy last week, having judged the boy's skill with the shield fist a mid to high B rank. He hoped that teaching him the Senkouken would not only add a style to his arsenal and increase his speed but also show him some differences in styles so that he may perfect each with that knowledge. They finished their training session, which had been interrupted by the impromptu knowledge of Naruto's success, after another 2 hours taijutsu, where Naruto began to read the holy book of log for another half an hour, before returning for another 2 hours of reflex honing, which Naruto more accurately described torture. He still vividly remembered his first session. Flashback. Naruto, the Sandaime ordered, stand in this circle. Naruto stood in said circle, waiting dutifully. He let off a strangled yelp as he jumped to the side, barely avoiding a kunai. What the log, old man? Naruto asked angrily. Are you trying to kill me? No. I'm helping your body train its reflexes. I done wanna train my reflexes. Naruto pouted, sitting angrily on the floor. The Sandaime sighed sadly. But if you don't, every time someone throws a kunai, shuriken or even jutsu at you, you will be summoning, and killing logs. Think of the blasphemy. Bulletin dash. And if you die because you couldn't avoid a single kunai, who else will protect the logs? Silence for a minute, then. Fine. But you play dirty, old man. End flashback. The sessions would vary, sometimes he'd stand in a circle and avoid incoming weapons, and jutsus. Naruto shivered as he remembered, that had been a painful experience. Other times he might have a certain restriction, e.g. only allowed to block incoming projectiles. It was really quite fun, for Sandaime. Currently, the Sandaime had had a stressful meeting with the council, well his shadow clone did, and now needed to vent some frustration. Said Kage smiled sadistically at his charge. Achoo. Anko sneezed violently, spittle raining into the face of her Iwa opponent. Naruto, in his grey training gi, did not like that look at all. Log sustain me, he muttered quietly, sending a small prayer to the log. The Sandaime led Naruto to the large circle which they had been practicing this exercise before in. Naruto gulped audibly. Not this one, Jiji. Think of the logs, Naruto, all for the holy log. Sigh. Okay then, Jiji. For the log. And with that Naruto stood in the circle. With a strangled yelp, he jumped to the left, rolling again to the right, narrowly avoiding 2 shuriken. He felt a kunai approaching behind so he ducked, before wearily keeping an eye out for more. Another kunai appeared and Naruto nearly screamed, before jumping as high as possible and doing a split. The kunai passed right under him. Ji. Haha, nearly got ya with that one. Kyubi. teased. Naruto frowned, having forgotten to talk to his Jiji about the Kyuubi talking to him. He vowed to tell him afterwards. He ducked under one aimed for his head, slapping away one which would have impaled his shoulder, though they were blunt, before flipping to the left to avoid 3 more. Then Jiji played dirty. Naruto heard a brief mutter of Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. With 25 consecutive popping sounds, one blunt kunai became 25 blunt kunai, all headed to one blonde. Said boy frantically ran through hand seals. 8-year-old and already impaled by kunai? Bad way to start one's ninja career. Doton, Chuchibui. Earth release, earthen protection. With a shuddering, grinding sound, the ground in front of Naruto sprang up, curving down to shelter him in an elliptical shield. He found that he didn't have enough mastery over the jutsu to do a full covering earth shield, so he made it face the incoming shadow kunai. 25 kunai slammed into the earth wall, each making a blunt, ringing sound. Naruto dispelled the jutsu, watching as the kunai also dispelled. He thought it was over when more kunai started flying. Damn, he's frustrated. Naruto thought wryly, jumping over another kunai and kicking away a shuriken. 3 more kunai were sent simultaneously at the exerted boy, who didn't have enough time to form the shielding jutsu. He jumped over the first, allowing his body to become parallel to the ground. The second flew below him, the third flying so close it cut a lock of his unruly hair off. He merged the jump into a backflip, landing safely enough to roll away from the 2 shuriken which his sensei threw. Sensei was mean. After they finished, Naruto went up to the wizened Hokage. Jiji. Naruto began, getting his attention. It talks to me? The Sandai man knew exactly what it meant. Do you feel like, the urge to do bad things? To kill and hurt people? Sandai asked carefully. If he did, then it could mean the seal was weakening. No. He just comments. It. I don't know, can something that scary be a woman? Hell hath no wrath like an angry woman. The Sandai replied wisely. Anyway, hopefully I'll get someone to make sure everything's fine. Till then just ignore its suggestions and don't answer back. Oh okay Jiji. Now I have a surprise for you. The wizened Hokage said. Close your eyes. Naruto did so and quickly found a small booklet placed in his hands. He opened his eyes and read it. The Holy Log in I. A beginner's guide for the ways of the log. This guide is for the beginning log acolyte with a small amount of commandments and tips to start with your training into the ways of the log. From the book of the Holy Log these commandments were given to the very first log pope, a ninja called Woody, by the great tree of life which still stands to the day in Rogyugakur, village hidden in the log, the epicenter of all log believers. Commandments. 1. Thou shalt never hurt a log purposely. 2. Thou shalt take care of the log and the log shall take care of thee. 3. Every 365 moon cycles thou shalt make a crusade to the great tree and make an offering so the log will prosper. 4. When thou commits heresy thou will be transformed to a disgraced log and will burn eternally in the unholy fires of hell. 5. When thou hast died and lived the ways of the log dutifully thou shalt take place in the afterlife in the forest of life. These are the primary commandments and you must obey them always. When your training progresses you shall learn more of them. Nevertheless here are tips to live by the log. 1. Always use rice paper. Using log paper is frowned upon. 2. At least pray thrice a day to the great tree. 3. Try, with thy utmost effort, to spread the holy teachings of log. 4. When evil is committed to an log commit justice to the heretic. Keep in mind that 95% of the world are disbelievers and that these rules are not used in the government system, so act discreetly. 5. When you make an offering to the great tree always be respectful, even if the great tree does not answer. 6. Thou wilt find a companion in a log with which thee should go everywhere, and it shall become thy traveller's log. 7. Where holy life sap is spilled plant a seed there so a tree may prosper there. 8. When writing the apology to the log who saved your life name at least 5 reasons why you could not act otherwise. 9. When a log priest or pope is nearby greet him and the log he carries. 10. If you follow the ways dutifully the log pope may grant you with some life sap of the great tree itself. Drink it and may you be closer to the tree and the log. 11. When one of the messengers of the tree itself is nearby, bow for him, for the great log sage will only grace the holiest of worshippers with his advice, whether through messenger or not. 12. Embrace the squirrel summons as your companions if they grace you with their presence. All in all, these basic rules and tips are a great start to begin with the ways of the log, but remember there is always more to learn. Naruto read it again, before looking up at the Sandaime happily. Where did you get this? Naruto asked. Oh, the Shodaime had once tried to convince me to become a log acolyte, however, when I refused he gave me this. This was what he wrote personally on the subject. Sarutobi swore he heard bones crushing as Naruto hugged him. Note to self, slow down on the strength training. Thanks Jiji, this is the best present ever. Naruto said excitedly, before calming himself down. I mean, for a disbeliever, that is. Jiji, where can I get the squirrel summoning scroll? You can't. Huh. You can't. But why? It does not exist on the mortal plane of existence. The squirrel ninja summons are not among the strongest. Naruto's face fell. They are the strongest as they have the ability to mold chakra almost as effectively as humans do. However, they are the ones who initialize contact, and if they do, they will test you. Anyway, that is not for now. Can I end early? I really wanna show Hanabi-chan this. Looking at the sun, the Hokage guessed that it was about 1 p.m. We can't end now, but we'll work some more and end at around 4 p.m. Awesome! Naruto exclaimed. Say Jiji, I heard that the academy took 4 years. Well, yes, and no. What do ya mean yes and no? In the name of the log, that is a terrible answer. Hiruzen sighed forlornly. He always cursed the person which had thrown the book out the window, unwittingly hitting the young boy. Yes, because most civilian families enroll their children for the 4-year course. No, because a lot of the clans and even some civilians enroll their children in the 1-year course. There is no difference in the material taught, but the 4-year takes it much slower. Oh. I get it. Also the 1-year course people are allowed to fail up to 7 times, twice a year, once in the first year. Totally 4 years, before they have to quit becoming a ninja. Oh. Okay. Now, let's get back to training. I need this power for the log. Once again the Hokage sighed, before focusing on his young charge. Okay then, out of the 5 jutsu I gave you 2.5 weeks ago on your birthday, how many have you learnt? Only 4. I've mostly focused my shadow clones on elemental manipulation. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. That's nothing to be ashamed about, the Sandaime reassured. Now, could you show me? Sure. First I have the, Naruto said excitedly, performing the necessary hand seals, futon, Kazekii no jutsu, wind release, wind whip technique. The whip formed around the kunai which Naruto took out, said Blonde, slamming it into the ground, leaving a 1-foot deep groove. Then, as I showed you earlier, my Doton, Chuchibui no Jutsu, Earth Release, Earth Protection Technique, The earth in front of the log acolyte shuddered, and with a grinding sound, formed a hemisphere around the blonde. I can't make the full sphere yet, but I'm on my way. Okay, next there's the Suten, Jinsoku Tama no Jutsu, Water Release, Rapid Shot Technique, Naruto performed the necessary hand seals, dragging some water from a nearby pond. The water formed around 20 condensed, golf ball-sized balls which Naruto directed to shoot in rapid succession at a nearby boulder. The pressured water slammed into the rock, cutting small grooves for each water ball, leaving the boulder pock-marked with holes. Last but not least, Doton, Shinjuzanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Double Suicide Decapitation Technique, Naruto sunk into the ground, disappearing from view, before reappearing behind the aged Hokage. I of course know the Kawarimi, and I've learned 2 jutsu from the Holy Book of Log. I thought I told you not to learn jutsus by yourself, Naruto. The Sandaime said disapprovingly. But the Holy Log commanded me to. Naruto whined. Ah well, if the Holy Log says so, who am I to argue? Will you show me them then? Naruto formed some hand seals, ending with an odd seal, the left hand, palm upwards, slightly curved, with the right hand grabbing the Upwards fingers of the left. Suten, Junsei Mizu no Jutsu, water release, pure water's technique. Pure water formed in Naruto's left hand, which he directed to flow into a seed which he had planted. Naruto looked slightly exerted as the water purely came from the air. The Sandaime touched the water, letting out a small pulse of chakra, and could tell it was 100% pure, not a single impurity. It was quite refreshing too. Okay, good job Naruto. The Kage applauded as Naruto ended the jutsu. You said there was another. Ah yes. Naruto said, performing a sequence, once again ending with the odd seal. Daiichi Hoka, replace other, dot. The Hokage felt a brief rush, before finding himself 10 meters away from the original spot, a log where he had been. Wow Naruto. Do you have any idea the potential of such a jutsu? You could use Daiichi Hoka on an enemy and make him fall into a pit of spikes or into the way of a katon jutsu. The Hokage began, only to be cut off by his protege. No Jiji, that wouldn't work. Why not? The Daiichi Hoka can only be used when you have pure intent. If I wanted to save my friend from a katon jutsu then it could work, but if I wanted to place my enemy in the way of a katon jutsu then it would put me there instead. Oh. Oh indeed. Okay Naruto, good job so far. One question though, what was that odd seal at the end? Oh you mean this? Naruto said, placing his hand in the proper position. That's the log hand seal. The log hand seal? Sandaime asked dully. You've got to be shitting me. Peace of the holy log upon you. Naruto greeted his fellow log acolyte, who returned the greeting in turn. Boy Hanabi-chan, do I have something to show you? He said excitedly, handing her the leaflet. She quickly scurried to a comfy lounge chair which she had ordered, happening to be in the shape of the log. Where's Hinata-chan? Training. Hanabi replied after a few minutes, having not noticed him talking at all. Thanks. Naruto said, running outside. He ran through the parks for a bit, asked the guards and even knocked on some builds but could not find hide nor hair of Hinata. He finally decided to check the dojo. He walked in to find Hinata beginning a graceful kata, jabbing her invisible opponent, before pirouetting to the left and slamming her palm where the opponent's stomach would be. She continued her graceful dance, never in one place, always on the tip of her toes, ready to switch position or attack. Naruto found it absolutely captivating. Hinata, sweating mildly and a bit out of breath, finished the long kata. It had taken her time but she had finally mastered it. She knew her father wouldn't say that but, deep down she knew it. Clap, clap, clap. Both student and sensei turned to the source of the noise, finding Naruto in a black kimono. That was absolutely amazing Hinata-chan. Naruto complimented. Hayashi frowned slightly, but did not comment. Can we spar? I bet you'd kick me any day of the week but all experience is good. Before Hinata could decline, thinking her father wouldn't allow it, said Obstruction spoke up. I'm sure Hinata could use such experience too. Fighting positions, children. Without a second, or even first, thought, the two 8-year-olds faced each other, bowing their heads slightly before getting into their positions. Begin. Byakugan. Hinata murmured quietly. Naruto turned to the clan head. Wait. Any restrictions? For now, only taijutsu. Naruto turned around just in time to duck under the gentle fist strike, slapping away the poke to his temple which would have left him unconscious. He firmly dodged and parried Hinata's attacks with the Takyuken, before switching to Senkouken. Though not fast enough to make the taijutsu style fully effective, he still managed to use it to some extent. He slid to the side, avoiding the chakra-charged jab, before going on the offensive. Hinata just managed to duck under the vicious palm strike, pirouetting away from the following high kick. She continued to avoid his attacks with all the grace of a ballerina, before a speedy punch on her shoulder knocked her off balance, followed by a jab to the stomach, a sweeping kick to knock her down and a two-handed push while she was still in the air. Consequently, Hinata was on the floor, clutching her stomach, her Byakugan shut. She was wincing in pain, and was about to forfeit, which annoyed Naruto. Oh come on Hinata-chan. Don't give up, you landed quite a few counter jabs. I swear I can't feel my right arm, BLGHH, never mind use jutsu. Usually, this would be the point in the usual training schedule where Hinata would give up, but get up and try again, without much motivation. Hinata-chan, if you make mistakes who cares? It's better to make mistakes now against me and Hayashi-sama than against some evil, soulless S-rank missing nin who cares none for logs. Hinata got up a bit, chuckling. Hayashi stared at his daughter's friend in surprise, before pondering the positive effect. Granted, his insanity was virulent, though Hinata was proving immune, but his happy-go-lucky attitude, boundless energy, and courage seemed to affect Hinata too. Said Hyuga had reactivated her Byakugan, charging against her opponent with renewed vigor. He avoided her first jab to his shoulder, ducking under one to his head and smacking away one to his stomach, before getting some tenketsu in his right hip sealed up. Damn it! Naruto said as Hinata sprang away. Grr! His left leg felt numb, and he couldn't feel the chakra flowing there properly. Focusing his chakra, he forced it into his right hip, hoping it would somehow affect it. With a loud pop the tenketsu unsealed, Naruto grimacing in pain. Damn, you sure pack a punch. Or, jab. Naruto complimented. Oh, I'm sorry. Hinata said that she had hurt her friend. Naruto instantly backtracked. No. That's good, Hinata-chan. I mean, if you couldn't pack a jab, then how else would you survive the ninja world? We're gonna kick ass, or jab ass, and take names. Hayashi narrowed his eyes at the crude, vulgar use of words but let it slide this time. Shall we continue? Naruto asked. I think that is enough for now. Hayashi said. Naruto, how would you like to come for daily sparring sessions with Hinata? I'm sure she could improve greatly, and so could you. Oh, that would be great. Naruto said ecstatically. More excuses to visit. Damn, the log was really on his side today. What time? I expect to see you both in the dojo at 10 a.m. sharp every day. Now, dismissed. Naruto would have stayed longer, but he knew he absolutely stunk right now, so he bade his farewells and made a note in his mind to not fight in a freaking kimono again. Next day. So Hanabi-chan, how did you like the leaflet? Naruto said, worked up after his sparring session. Amazing. So much useful tips. I just ordered 70 crates of rice paper. Great. But Naruto, how will we get our traveler's log? Oh, 1 second, I think I need to refer to the Holy Book of Log. Naruto said, pulling said holy book out of his pocket. Hanabi, having long paid for the service of having a copy made, also pulled her copy out, flipping through the pages. I found it! Naruto exclaimed. Page 27, Thy Traveler's Log. Hanabi opened the appropriate page before beginning to read. Thy Traveler's Log is not chosen by the traveler, but decided by the commune of the trees in the great forest of life, with the final decision up to the great log sage. The Traveler's Log is not granted to all and any who seek it, Naruto continued, for it is a symbol of holiness and great faith. One must complete the 5 tests of holiness before one is blessed with the Traveler's Log. Hanabi quickly took over. First, one must have taught the ways of the holy log to at least one log acolyte. Second, one must have planted at least over 100 saplings. Third, one must have never committed heresy without the full repenting. Fourth, one must take a test log made of plain oak and keep it alive for at least 6 months. Last of all, the log acolyte to receive a traveler's log must have punished at least 10 heretics. Quite a list, Naruto commented reverently, and I shall complete every one. But, he said, before reading again, once those 5 tests of holiness have been completed, one must learn the Kuchi Yase, Rogutomo Meshi, summoning, log companion summons, a complicated space-time ninjutsu. The rest was just explaining the jutsu. Naruto looked at his fellow log worshipper, who had a determined glint in her eye. We have a lot of work to do, Hanabi commented, which Naruto totally agreed. Well, I have already taught you the ways of the holy log, and I've planted so many saplings that I lost count at 3,754, Naruto admitted, not lying, or exaggerating at all. I've never committed heresy, except that time in training, where I repented fully. However, we should both get a test log, Hanabi was admittedly slightly jealous at her companion's already vast progress, but squashed the feeling down ruthlessly and got up. She had some seeds to order. The next day, after a filling dinner at the Hyuga, the two log worshippers prepared to get their practice log. Hanabi had ran to her room and currently was back down again, facing a horror-stricken Naruto. "Get that blasphemous weapon of evil away from me!" he shrieked at the 4-year-old, almost comically dragging an axe behind her. "But Naruto, how else will we get our practice log?" "Kawarami, of course," Naruto replied. "Painless loss of tree. We can't spill holy life sap with such a blasphemous, evil tool." Hanabi ran to a nearby guard, instructing him to melt the evil weapon with a katon jutsu. "But Naruto-kun, I don't know the Kawarami. I'm not starting lessons till next week, remember?" "Oh, I would teach it to you, but I don't want to interfere into whatever training program your dad's prepared for you." "Well, let's go ask him then," Hanabi said, dragging Naruto along with her. They reached a white oak door, both of the children stopping to offer a small prayer to the log mutilated for this purpose. Thank log they hadn't noticed the wooden floors. Naruto knocked the door and upon hearing a curt, "Enter," he opened it, Hanabi right behind him. "Naruto, I believe you already finished your sparring sessions for today. Is there a problem?" No, Naruto insisted. "I just wanted to ask your permission to teach Hanabi the Kawarami." Hayashi was honestly surprised at the request, before condemning himself for being so stupid. The two worship a log as a deity. I should have known Hanabi would want to learn the Kawarami. Well, I guess, there's no harm in him teaching her such a small thing. Is there? Well, you may teach her, but it must take place here in the mansion, and before Hanabi is cleared to use it when she likes, she must show me. Is that understood? "Hi, Hayashi-sensei," Naruto replied, before rushing out the room. As soon as he stepped out, he gasped in shock. Wooden floorboards surrounded him. He was standing on dead logs. Carved logs. He nearly screamed there and then, but a quick glance at the similarly constructed walls shut him up. Then he smirked evilly. He had just found his first heretic. The Sandaime was confused when Naruto suddenly decided to start learning genjutsu, having not planned to teach him that for some time. He had honestly not expected the young man to like the subject, but said blonde had actually taken to it with vigor. Naruto had found it hard at first, requiring utmost concentration and chakra control, but thanks to his year of such lessons, he eventually got the hang of it. Said blonde had 50 clones, paired into groups of 2, each practicing a genjutsu on each other. Naruto had been given a scroll with 5 genjutsus on it after he had learned the basics, so 5 pairs worked for each genjutsu. Meanwhile, Naruto was repeatedly being put under genjutsu by the Hokage, being forced to dispel it without stabbing a kunai through one's leg. Afterwards, Naruto had to leave to visit the Hyuga for his daily sparring. It turned out that, surprisingly, Hayashi knew both the Senkouken and the Tokyoken. When asked, he simply replied, "I had to become a Jonin too," and thus gave Naruto small tips on both. After a shower and change of clothes, Naruto met his fellow log acolyte on the edge of a small, wooden forest. Hanabi carefully made the hand seals, taking some time to do the jutsu as she was not used to it yet, though it was good enough for the purpose of her training log. With a puff of smoke, Hanabi disappeared, a log around the length of her forearm and as thick as her opened palm taking her place. The young Hyuga ran back to her log, cradling it. Naruto, to Hanabi's amazement, managed to do the jutsu without a seal, an almost replicated log taking his place. Hanabi silently handed Naruto a strapping device similar to the one used to carry babies on one's back. The blonde slid it on, placing the log on the device, strapping it on. 6 weeks passed, Naruto improving at a rate which continued to surprise his mentor over and over. He begun to learn to use the double-ended spear version of his whip, which he named the Nikan-yori, 2-blade spear, learned more jutsus, be it gen or nin, continued to perfect his taijutsu, nearly mastering the nature manipulation for water and earth, protected his practice traveler's log, p. Before he knew it, it was Hinata's birthday, and he had been invited. The Hokage had warned the young blonde that the Hyugas did not make a big deal out of birthdays. No party, no streamers, the Hyuga mostly held a large dinner for close friends and family, as well as present giving. Hinata was overjoyed to see Naruto, as was Hanabi, and while they couldn't really play like 8 and 4-year-olds, they could at least boisterously chatter like them on the dinner table. The dinner was a sumptuous affair, food imported from all around the elemental nations, ranging from hot, steaming roasted duck to an 8-layer, stark white cake. After most of the guests had left, Hinata was left with her sister, father, mother, best friend, and the Hokage. And so the real present giving began. Of course, all the attending guests had left small trinkets as presents, but it was nothing compared to the real things which her closest people got her. Her mother, knowing her desire to learn the ways of the medic nin, had bought her 5 books on healing, volumes 1 to 5 of Carefully Healing Careless Ninjas, though Hikage had tactlessly crossed out ninjas and written blondes on top. Her father presented her with practically a whole wardrobe worth of chukuri-sizing ninja clothing, while Hanabi gave her a dozen, expensive pearly white obanite kunai, with the leaf symbol etched into the handles, curved slightly to one side for slashing motions. The Leaf Village's leader gave her a grade A medikit, until finally she was faced with Naruto. Naruto began, I didn't really know what to get. I mean, you're a princess and also, I thought, what can you get a princess? Naruto gave her a box-shaped present, wrapped carefully in a cerulean wrapping, covered in logs, of course. Carefully untying the ribbon and slipping off the paper, Hinata opened the jet black box to find inside it sturdy, leather lilac gloves with strands of obanite woven into it and small, obanite points at the end of each finger. She noted that each point was not even sharp enough to give a paper cut, never mind stab. As if answering an unasked question, Naruto spoke up. I had it made for you. The points at the end help to sort of, concentrate the chakra so it's more, precise. Naruto said, slightly worried. This was the first time he had ever given anyone a gift. Hinata absolutely loved the gift, and vowed to make good use of it. Naruto was relieved, and soon they settled down for some friendly chatter. The 8-year-old Hyuga could not help but notice Naruto's slight stiffening in posture as he received the memories of a clone. Nor did she miss the evil smirk that followed. And so the first heretic shall be punished? Naruto thought slyly, sharing a knowing glance with Hanabi. Chapter 5. Hyuga Hayashi woke up, laying on his side, head faced to where his wife would be. First thing he saw was a human-sized log. He nearly screamed there and then, but instead formed his hands in a seal and screamed Kai. Nothing happened. He looked down at his bed. However, instead, there was a log. He looked at the door. There was a log. He looked at the floor. One big log. He looked down at himself. His sleepwear had logs all over it. He pinched himself. Please tell me I'm in a nightmare. Frantically panting, he ran to the bathroom, wanting to wash his face. Horrified, he peeked into the bathroom. The shower was one big, hollow log. A log, half hollowed, took the place of the toilet. He looked in the mirror. A log stared back at him. This time, he did scream. His wife instantly sat up, the door slamming open as guards walked in. Hayashi exited the bathroom to find several white-eyed logs staring at him with worry. Darling, are you okay? The one on the bed, no, log said, worried. The Hyuga patriarch, still screaming, ran out of his room. As soon as he did, the floorboards became animated. Yoru, ki lead, me? It whispered, dead eyes staring at the Hyuga patriarch. Murder. No. Get away from me. Hayashi jumped out of a nearby window, glass shattering, barely noticing the impact as he hit the grass. Well, it felt like grass. When he looked at it, he found himself staring at tiny strands of log waving around in the wind. He needed to get away from the logs. Too many logs. He ran into the village, rushing past log houses, log stores, log civilians, log ninjas. He screamed for the umpteenth time that day. The Hokage had just arrived in his office when he heard an ear-splitting shriek. He heard some more bashing and disturbances at the bottom of his tower, and was about to get up to fight, when the door slammed open, showing a crazed-looking man. Hyuga Hayashi was obviously not a morning person. He was still in white PJs, which consequently said all hail the log all over it. His hair was a mess, tangled up and flying in all directions. His eyes were bloodshot and he was shivering all over. Hayashi, what? The Sandaime began, wondering what was wrong. The L logs. He screamed, stuttering like Hinata. They're everywhere. Don't worry Hayashi, Sandaime said, enjoying this far too much. It will all go away. For the log is with thee, my friend. The most holy of the forest, shall save thee. Shall be thy salvation. And yet, the log asks for nothing in return. That was the last straw. With one, last, blood-curdling scream, Hyuga Hayashi fainted. You do know, he will kill you, Naruto, the Hokage thought wryly. Naruto? Hinata said, meeting the 8-year-old blonde in a dojo. Was it you? By now the whole compound knew of Hayashi's moment of insanity, and all blamed Naruto. The log commanded it. Hinata-chan. Let's just go to our sparring session. Minutes later Hayashi arrived, looking as if nothing had happened in the morning, losing no composure when he saw the mischief-making log worshipper. Children, today we will do something different. He began with a sadistic gleam in his eyes. Hinata, you will begin to teach Hanabi the basics of the Gyuken, and Naruto. He said, restraining the urge to cackle evilly. Naruto will spare with me. Ha 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 ha. The Kyuubi laughed cruelly at his jailer's punishment. You're screw of weed and ain't no log here to save you now. Naruto gulped visibly, Hinata sending him a pitying glance as she went off to find her sister. Ow. Naruto moaned as he tried to sit down next to a chuckling Hinata. Ow, ow, it's not funny. I know he had a reason to be annoyed, but that Tenketsu strike to the butt was just overkill. Hinata's small chuckles turned into full-blown laughter. She just couldn't help it. So Hinata, you're starting the academy in 3 years too? Yes, I'll be graduating when I'm 12. You. Hinata said, stutter-free words coming natural to her. Her sparring lessons, which usually extended into full-blown taijutsu lessons, had given her a lot of confidence. Consequently Hayashi did not give up on her eldest daughter. Me too. Oh, I can't wait. Naruto said excitedly. Academy will be boring, but afterward I can become a fully fledged ninja and protect the log. My comrades. Hinata giggled a bit at that. They begun to chat a bit, one thing leading to another, and next thing they knew they were talking about training. Unlike Hinata, Naruto had no qualms talking about specifics, except his teacher. Hinata-chan, did you find out your elemental affinity yet? No. Apparently, my chakra will not be developed enough for quite some time. Oh. Hehe, I found out mine and I had 3. It's amazing, isn't it? Hikage, performing the parental duty of protective surveillance from one of the balconies, gasped at this. Wow. Hinata exclaimed. I wish I could find my elemental affinity. She lamented. Oh, that's easy. Naruto said, before making a clone which ran off and came back shortly with 2 pieces of paper. Just channel chakra into it. Hinata channeled the chakra, not expecting any results. She was pleasantly surprised when the paper crumpled up, signifying her lightning affinity. Awesome. You should see what happens when I do it. Naruto said proudly. He charged chakra into it, getting the expected first result of a ripped-in-half paper. However, the second result blew Hikage's mind. The 2 halves of the paper hardened, thickening into wooden slabs. I wonder what that means. Naruto mused. The Hokage had hardly expected Hikage of all people to run into his office, panting. Take a seat, my dear. He said, pouring her a cup of tea. Is something wrong? It's Naruto, Hokage-sama. Oh. The Hokage asked, groaning inwardly. He was showing Hinata how to find out her elemental affinity, and she's a rightin', she said proudly. Anyway, Naruto then proceeded to take out another chakra paper and channel his chakra into it. Ah yes, Naruto has wind, earth, and water. Quite jaw-dropping for one his age. If you think that's jaw-dropping, then prepare. After he channeled chakra, the paper ripped, then it turned to wood. You could have heard a pin drop. Or for that matter, a pipe drop, as the Hokage's mouth was open in amazement. Do you have any idea what that means, Hokage-sama? It means, he is a Mokuton user. Oh, wow, Mokuton? I mean, no one's seen that since Shodai. Yes, well, for now, please do not tell anyone, except maybe Hayashi. Now, if you don't mind, I really have matters I need to focus on. Of course. Farewell, Hokage-sama. Yes, goodbye. Oh, and Hikage. Sandaime said before the Hyuga matriarch could leave. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. As soon as she left, Hiruzen called for his secretary. She popped her head in. Can I help you, Hokage-sama? Yes, Nemo, can you please get Agent Nico? Hi, Hokage-sama. 2 minutes later, said was in front of him, brown hair showing over his cat mask. Nico-san, I am assigning you a new, A-rank mission. Hi Hokage-sama. Details, please. You are to take a 6-month break from duty, as natural Mokuton abilities have risen in a young ninja in training. The shock ran through the agent like an S-rank Raitenjutsu. During this period you will be suspended as an agent and you will become a Junin. I assure you it is only temporary. If I may ask, Hokage-sama, who is the Mokuton user whom I shall be teaching? Uzumaki Naruto. He has Mokuton. Yes. Now you will not only teach him Mokuton ninjutsu, you will teach him earth and water jutsu as well as taijutsu if you can. Your file states that you are an S rank with the Wakaizushi and Whipping Willow style, and you have lots of experience fighting with clones. True. Hi. The ex-Umbu replied, still in a daze. Well, you are to teach your student all of this. If you need more than 6 months, then it can easily be arranged. Similarly, if you finish quicker than that, I can reinstate you into active duty. Hi Hokage-sama. Any questions? Where and when will we train? I have had another instructor teaching him for a year and a half now, so you will not need to teach him any basics. From now on, his training will be fully handled by you and you alone, and it will take place in the Sarutobi personal training ground. Here is the summarizing file of Naruto's ninja skills and the training he has undergone, as well as some previously planned lessons. Oh, and last thing, do not make his Mokuton techniques common knowledge, except with the Hyuga clan, with whom he takes taijutsu practice sparring every day at 10 a.m. You are dismissed. Right before the cat-faced left, the Hokage told him to take off his mask, before bidding goodbye. Yamato first went to the young Uzumaki's house, finding no one there. He quickly visited the Sarutobi personal training ground, also finding it vacated. He then went to the Hyuga mansion. He exchanged greetings with the guards before going off to find his young charge. He quickly found himself face to face with an overprotective 4-year-old. Hanabi knew of the mean people who hated Naruto, so naturally when a stranger came to ask for him, she did not give his location straight away. The sight of the 4-year-old in front of him, arms crossed, staring haughtily at him nearly made Yamato laugh. Why do you want Naruto-kun? She asked. I'm his new instructor. What are you going to teach him? She asked suspiciously. He played with the idea of refusing to tell her, but decided against it. Mokuton. What's Mokuton? She asked, this time purely to sate her curiosity. Control over the wood element. He replied. Hanabi's eyes widened, saucers staring at the ninja in front of him. Really? Show me. Fine. Yamato said, at the moment willing to do anything to get this nosy 4-year-old away from him. He flipped through some hand seals, causing a small tree to sprout next to him. Kawiiyeinieth. Hanabi said, glomping on the stranger. Naruto can do that. Yes. Yes. Now please let me go find him. No. I must teach you the ways of the log. The what? Don't you mean God? I meant what I said, fool. The holy log. But, holy log. The log is my savior, I shall not char. It burneth in my stead, it protecteth me from the flames. It confoundeth mine enemies, it covereth mine escape. Yea, though I walk through the compounds of Uchiha, I will fear no Katon, for thou art with me, thy bark and thy sap they shieldeth me. Thou provideth me with shielding from the kunai of my enemies, from their shuriken and their wrath, my gratitude is never ending. Surely splinters and termites shall follow me all my ninja life, but I shall remain devoted to the log forever. Hanabi said reverently. Are you talking about the Kawarami? Yamato asked, unknowingly quoting many before him. Yes. 5 hours later. All hail the holy log. Hanabi chanted. Hail the log, hail the log. Yamato shouted reverently. Test of faith number 1, check. All right, fellow log acolyte, Hanabi said, let us find Naruto-kun such that he may learn the holy powers of log. Holy powers of log. Yamato parroted. Yamato found himself led to one of the most obscure training grounds excluding the Forest of Death, in Konoha. It seemed that Naruto was trying to secretly teach Hinata a small Raiden jutsu he had learned at some point in his training. Hinata was worried she was in trouble, but Yamato quickly put that doubt to rest. I'm here because, from now on I'll be Naruto's new sensei. Why? Naruto whined. I liked the happy old sensei. He said, saving himself quickly. Well Naruto, it seems you have the ability to do the Mokyuton. Me, Mokyuton, you, are you serious? Naruto screamed. It was like a dream come true. Yes. Yamato said shortly. Awesome. But wait, why are you more suited to teach me than the old sensei? Due to some odd circumstances, I also possess the Mokyuton, but not as strong as Shodeus, nor probably as strong as yours seeing as you are also a natural. And, the holy log bid me to teach thee. All hail the holy log. Naruto shouted, Hinata covering her ears in pain. Hail the log, may its holy life sap invigorate us for all eternity. Log sensei, Naruto began, earning an odd look for an equally odd name, please bless me with an example. Logoshigo, log disciple, I shall do so. With a mere hand sign, Naruto was trapped in a rapidly growing tree. Thank you for this demonstration of pure awesome. Naruto said humbly. Yamato looked at the sun, judging that it was around 6 p.m. Naruto-kun, we still have around 3 to 4 hours till we have to go. How about I begin you on your Mokyuton techniques such that you may practice overnight with your shadow clones? Yes please, Log Sensei. Okay, the first technique I will show you is the Moku Bunshin no Jutsu, wood clone technique. The hand signs are tiger, dog, snake. Naruto progressed quickly, at some point the Sandaime showing him how to split his whip into two. Basically, it took the shape of the chakra which you poured in, which was how Naruto ended up learning to dual-wield Waikizashis. He continued learning Senkouken and Tokyuken, as well as the whipping willow style and learning a myriad of Mokyuton, Suton, Doton, and Futon jutsus. His sensei also taught him some Raiten and Katon, but not very much. With Hanabi's and several shadow clones' help, Naruto totally refurbished and changed the Hyuga mansion, replacing the wooden floorboards with elegantly designed white tiles etc. Naruto had developed his own jutsu, one that had really surprised Yamato in their sparring session. Flashback. Yamato slammed his fist into one Naruto clone, watching it erupt in smoke. He pulled back his fist, aiming another punch at another clone. This time he pulled back his fist covered in deep cuts. Logoshigo, what was that? Log Sensei, I developed a jutsu. The Kaze Bunshin no Jutsu, wind clone technique, I am proud of you, Logoshigo. Use this new power wisely to protect the log. He also finished the allotted time span for protecting his practice log. He did not abandon it, instead he used his newly learned Udo Sausei no Jutsu, wood rebirth technique, on it. He began to actually search for heretics. He racked his brain, making a list of all heresy committed by the Sandaime, from willingly using log paper to throwing kunai at wooden targets. Wooden targets for log's sake. He pondered for ages, wondering exactly how to punish his Jiji. How does one punish the strongest man in the village? The answer struck Naruto like lightning, and he quickly ran to his apartment to prepare. The Sandaime, at age 73, was not exactly young, so he allowed himself his vices and guilty indulgences. 2 guilty indulgences to be precise, Icha, written by his student, and his tobacco-filled pipe. At 7 a.m. in the morning, before the workday begun, he usually indulged a bit. He sat in his comfortable leather chair, pulling his Icha book out from a secret drawer. He barely noticed that the title had changed, from Icha Jumanokyo to Icha Hade Kankyo. He flipped through the pages, opening it to where he had left off. Mina, the beautiful buxom seamstress, had just been successfully seduced by the charming Daisuke. Instead of finding the expected scene, he found 2 men on the book, drawn with accurate details, engaging in hot, sweaty intercourse. Daisuke moaned as Ushamaru hit that sweet spot deep inside him. Sarutobi threw the book as far as he could from himself, splintering the opposite wall. He willed himself to calm down, trying to forget that horrible, blasphemous picture. Deciding to forego the usual pipe smoking, he picked up the first paper from a large pile. Petition for log classes. Naruto. He growled evilly, reading the title of the paper. He went through all the papers one by one, finding each similarly titled. He burned them all, pulling another batch of paperwork. This one was normal, and the Hokage began the tedious task of stamping rejected, on each one. Suddenly he heard an evil, maniacal laughter. He turned around to find the source, finding himself staring at the paperwork, which now had 2 evil, glowing eyes, fangs and slits for a nose. Sarutobi-kun. It said evilly. It is time for you to dash, squawk. Hiruzen looked at the flaming mess of paperwork, sighing forlornly. Okay, now I really need my pipe. He lit it, vaguely noting that the resulting fumes did not smell like tobacco, but taking a long drag anyway. Hatake Kakashi, tired from his S-rank mission, entered the Hokage's office in his dirty and bloody uniform. Hokage-sama, Umbu Agent Inu reporting for duty. He. The Kage giggled. Hokage-sama. Giggles. Hokage-sama, are you okay? Okay, I've never been better. The Hokage replied, his pitch fluctuating. Giggles. Sir. The Hokage took a long drag on his pipe. You should try. He said, his voice like a young girl's. Show 'em of this. It share magical. Hokage-sama. Inu-san. Hokage said seriously. Come here, I have something really important to tell you. Slightly relieved that his superior was talking normally, the Umbu went up to his Kage. Closer. He leaned closer, till the old man's mouth was at his ear. What I'm about to tell you is an S-rank secret. He whispered dramatically. Yes, Hokage-sama. I have. Yes. I have a unicorn. Sweat drop. Giggles. But you can't tell anyone. Nemo-san. Kakashi called the secretary. You might want to come see this. Yes, Inu-san. She asked the dog-masked Umbu. I has a unicorn. Excuse me, Hokage-sama. Nemo asked politely. His name is Charlie. He said, ending with a whisper. She then took a sniff, smelling the odd fumes, before looking at the Hokage's bloodshot eyes. Hokage-sama, can I see your pipe? No. Charlie, run, they want to share you. Hokage-sama, Hiruzi. Nemo said, finally getting a response with the last one. Charlie's evil. Nuh. Charlie's evil. Really? He kills people while you're not looking. Evil? Like paperwork. Nemo sighed. Yes, like paperwork. The Hokage gave the woman his pipe, sighing sadly. Oh, how he'd miss Charlie. His secretary turned to the Umbu, who was slightly scared by now. It seems, Ino-san, that our Hokage is smoking weed. Weed? Yes, an odd mix between weed and crack. Oh, that's not good. Yes. Terrible. Now, how can we get him to the hospital? Hokage-sama. Kakashi begun. Charlie's angelic twin is at the hospital. Take this note, give it to a nurse and she'll show you to him. The Hokage sped out, leaving a cloud of smoke. What does the note say? Knock me out and treat me for mental instability. Kakashi quoted. Mental instability? You idiot. Nimmo moaned, running to find her boss. Kakashi was about to leave, but found himself nearly tripping up on a red book, with a picture of a woman chasing a man on the front. What's this? Kakashi queried, opening the book. Disturbing perverted giggles haunted the tower's occupants for the rest of the day. Naruto and Hanabi were congratulating themselves on a heretic punishing job well done with a hot, salty bowl of miso ramen when they both suddenly shuddered. I have a feeling we've released something horrible onto the world today. Naruto said sadly. Hanabi could only mutely agree. Throughout the following year, Naruto and Hanabi sabotaged a whole paper-producing factory, killed several woodpeckers, dark creatures of pure, unadulterated evil, at least, if you asked Naruto that was, and been punished severely for the weed stunt. Flashback. How did you get the weed in the first place? The Hokage asked, having severely scolded the two children in front of him. Oh, simple, Naruto replied. I just asked it to grow. The Sandaime sighed sadly. End flashback. Naruto became at least B rank with his Nikken Yori, the double-ended spear, B rank with 2 Waikizashis and A rank while wielding one, and by the time he had entered the academy his ninjutsu arsenal was absolutely massive. His most favorite technique so far was doing combination jutsu with himself. Well, his clone at least, but it still counted. From sending accelerated jets of wind-pressured water in a cutting manner, often electrifying it with another clone, to sending spears of wood surrounded by cutting winds. Naruto was really creative. Before he knew it, Naruto was beginning the academy. Yamato, although having only been assigned Naruto's sensei for 6 months, he continued teaching the blonde for much longer, staying a Jon until then. Naruto had been sure he was absolutely ready, till he decided to get his clothing ready. Looking through his collection of kimonos, training gi, and shozakus, he decided none would be totally fit for a regular academy. With that thought in mind, he took his savings, rather, Kenshi's savings and went to the shinobi armory, deciding to get some normal clothing. He walked around the shop, before finding a set of clothes which were the definition of epic. He added the loose trousers and shirt, both designed to look like wood. He bought some bandages to secure the trousers at the ankle, before buying a belt to hold his mutating weapon, as his sensei liked to call it. Finally, he bought elbow pads and a headband. He hid his ever-present weights given to him by his log sensei under the gloves and boots which his Jiji had got him so long ago. Praising himself in the mirror of the shinobi store, Naruto ordered 10 more sets of the clothing to be made, paying for the one he wore on the spot. Through the relatively quiet streets, Naruto walked to his destination, slowly walking to the Hyuga mansion. Once he arrived, he greeted a 7-year-old Hanabi, picking up an 11-year-old Hinata who incidentally, really loved his new outfit. They walked to the academy, hand in hand, no romantic intentions, of course arriving a full hour early. They decided to wait in the playground, where they also found a boy their age in a long overcoat which extended over his mouth, dark shades hiding his eyes. In fact, the only skin showing was the cheeks, nose, and forehead. Hello, Aburame-san. Hinata said, instantly recognizing him from his appearance. Blessings of the log be upon you. Naruto said cheerily. Shino turned to look at him, wondering about the odd greeting. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and my good friend here is Hyuga Hinata. She's awesome, by the way. Greetings, my name is Aburame Shino. Naruto looked at him suspiciously. You don't control any termites, do you? No. Why do you ask? Termites are evil. I'm safe this way. Shino-san, are you starting the academy this year? Yes. He replied shortly. Some may have taken offense, but Hinata knew very well how the Aburame spoke. Hinata and Naruto quickly found themselves running out of things to talk about with the other boy, mostly due to the fact that Aburames don't talk much. Naruto passed the time easily, watching his clones practice with Kaji and Kawaii, Justice and Honor, his twin Waikizashis. He had remembered first using the clones for physical practice. Flashback. Yamato finished teaching Naruto the first katas for his Waikizashi, before telling him to create 50 clones. The blonde did so without a single hand sign, evidence of his mastery of the jutsu, all the clones appearing with a wakaizushi in their hand. All of you, begin the first kata. Yamato shouted. Nani? Naruto asked. I thought you don't gain the physical gain of your clones. He stated, confused. My Lago Shigo, there is a difference. While if you set 50 clones to do push-ups, you wouldn't really get anything except a load of exhaustion. However, if you set them to do something repetitive, like katas, they will pass on the memory. But I thought things like that were muscle memory. Yes. The muscle memory of the clones gets passed on to you. Where else would you get the exhaustion from? Oh, okay then. Kata 1, clones. Chop chop, literally. End flashback. While his 2 clones sparred in front of him, 350 more were training at the Sarutobi grounds. Oh, the beauty of shadow clones. The playground gradually filled up with children starting this year. Naruto noticed a wide selection of clan members joining with him, an Uchiha, a Hyuga, a Yamanaka, an Akamike, a Nara, an Aburame, and an Inuzuka, dog and all. The bell rung, signifying the leaving of parents and the entering of children. Naruto loitered behind, allowing everyone to enter the class before him. He was so excited. This was step 1 of his path to become Hokage to better protect the holy log. He opened the door, walking in to find everyone sitting before him, before he stopped in horror. Uzumaki. What's wrong? A scar-faced instructed asked. Wooden chairs. Wooden floorboards. Wooden desks. Wooden display boards. Wooden doors. Naruto screamed, running out. Okay, then. Iruka began, my name is Iruka and... Naruto returned just in time to find the children about to exit the class for jutsu practice, a horde of clones behind him, each carrying metal chairs, made comfortable with Seiyushianing foam, covered in leathers. Another horde brought in an equal amount of metal tables for each student, followed by a large, metal desk for his teacher. The floorboards were quickly replaced by cool tiles by another group, the display boards replaced with a plastic one. Finally the door was knocked down, replaced by a large metal one. All better. Naruto said, some clones behind him holding all the old wooden stuff. Okay, well we have all finished introducing ourselves, and we're just about to show some jutsu which had already been learned. So why don't you introduce yourself, then we can continue. Oh. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I like the holy log, Hinata-chan and my fellow log acolytes. I dislike those who needlessly use logs when they could have dodged, those who murder logs and trees and use logs as furnishing of all things. My hobby is training and planting saplings. My dream is to become Hokage such that I may protect the logs even more. Iruka sighed. There always had to be one oddball, didn't there? They went to an academy training ground, where Iruka stood before his class. So how many of you know a jutsu? 7 hands raised. Alright then. Kiba, you go first. Said Inuzuka jumped in the air, spinning in the air, resembling a drill to those present. Good. Shikamaru, your turn. Troublesome. He sighed. He formed his hand in an odd seal, his shadow extending to meet Iruka's. Kage no jutsu. Excellent. Shino, you're next. Bugs began to pour out of Shino's coat, gathering at a spot to his left. They formed a vaguely human shape, till more bugs were added and a full Shino clone was formed. Mushi Bunshin no jutsu. The bug user said stoically. Mr. Akimichi. Iruka called, looking at his plump student. Go. The brown-haired youth formed a hand seal, shouting, Baiken no jutsu. He expanded threefold, giving an almost comical rounded appearance. He then let go of the transformation, once again becoming smaller. Hinata, your turn. The once shy girl stepped forward, forming some hand seals. Raiden, Denkao Shuriken, Lightning Release, Lightning Shuriken. 3 shurikens of crackling yellow energy formed at Hinata's hand, before she threw them at the floor. A distinct smell of ozone was released as she burnt the grass. Good job. Sasuke, go. The Uchiha stepped forward, flipping through hand seals. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. A huge orb of roaring flames expelled from his mouth, slamming it into a nearby tree, which burned to ashes in seconds. Naruto growled slightly. He had just found his fourth heretic. Wow, well, finally, Naruto. Go. The clones of Naruto lay all the wooden objects at the edge of the clearing, each slightly separated. Udo Sausei no Jutsu, Naruto said, after flipping through some hand seals. The wooden objects absorbed into the ground, before suddenly sprouting into large trees. That was my wood rebirth technique. It returns murdered logs into the trees they were born from. Amokuton. Iruka inwardly gasped. Good job, Mizuki, the assistant sensei said. Now, let's get back to class so we may begin our lessons. A collective groan ran through the 30 or so students as they followed their senseis back inside. Everyone took their quite comfortable seats, watching their teacher in front. Let's begin our lessons. First, we will be doing the history of Shinobi. Iruka began, giving a rather boring introduction to the subject. So, does anyone know anything of the Shodai? A pink-haired girl raised her hand. He was the first Hokage, and had a rare control over wood. Good. Anyone else? Iruka asked. Naruto put his hand up. Naruto. As the 7th moon cycle passed, Naruto began to quote. The Holy Log Pope begged for help from the gods, and his pleas were justly answered. Bathed in light, Hashirama Senju took up the holy powers of the log, and as the light left him, he saith, let there be logs. Everyone looked at him, quite confused. There's more. Naruto said quickly, before quoting again. As the two titans clashed, the world stood at standstill, the black flame of the heretic Uchiha Madara blazing fiercely against the holy life-giving power of the log Pope Senju Hashirama. As the ebony flame threatens to vanquish the divination of the holy log, it all came to naught as the Shodai Hokage drew all of his power to quench the abomination, thus ending the terror which threatened the continuity of the blessing from the holy sap. Stupid daube. Sasuke said from his seat at the front. He hadn't heard of this Uchiha Madara, but he was an Uchiha, and such lowly scum did not have any right to even mention his name, never mind insult him. As if the powers of the log, he said scornfully, could ever beat an Uchiha, the best of the B-. He was halted by a chunk of wood slamming into his cheek. Don't insult the log. Naruto said fiercely. Sasuke was about to fight back when Mizuki stopped them. Now, leave the fighting for our monthly taijutsu ranking contest. But he's evil. Naruto screamed. Evil? Mizuki asked. Yes, all Uchiha are evil. He breathes fire for log's sake. Naruto, that's enough. Iruka said forcefully. Once everyone calmed down, he began again. The Shodai was the first Hokage of Konoha. And so Naruto's academy days began, most of which he spent reading the awesome book on Fuinjutsu he had gotten for his last birthday. And the ones after it, and after them. Chapter 6. Haha, I really had a laugh when my program insisted on changing Kiba to Kibble. Hehe. Naruto, along with several other academy students, stood outside the ring, waiting for their turn at the first monthly fighting tournament. While there were written and oral tests, which Sakura always came first in, Hinata closely following, the fighting tournament was where the excitement really lay. Alright kids. Mizuki shouted over the chatter, first match will be. Iruka pulled two names out of a bowl, before shouting, Kiba and Shuji. Okay then, you're allowed to use anything, just nothing permanently crippling, Mizuki said as the two kids walked into the ring. Other than that, begin. Baika no Jutsu. Shuji shouted, expanding into a huge human ball. Shikyaku no Jutsu. Kiba shouted, getting on all fours. Wisps of loose chakra could be seen as his claws grew and he became more feral. The Inuzuka rolled away from the large hand, which slammed into the spot he had just vacated. He decided to not waste time, shouting, Tsuga. His drilling form ran right into the large student, who could feel several harsh scratches, cuts and bruises as he was pummeled, sent flying out of the ring, thus giving victory to the Inuzuka. Kiba wins. Mizuki said to a round of small cheers. Next up. Hinata and Sakura. Iruka finished. There was really no need to go into details. The Hyuga princess could have killed the pink-haired fangirl with just one strike, instead deciding to just knock her off her feet and throw her out of the ring. Hinata wins. Mizuki shouted, "Now! Naruto and Shino." Naruto entered the ring, facing his opponent who calmly assessed him. Shino didn't know much about his opponent. They had been to the academy together for 2 weeks now, but not much had been displayed of his fighting style except his control over wood. Begin. Naruto instantly sent 2 chunks of wood flying at the bug user, who systematically dodged with minimal movement. He began to send his bugs out to the boy, who was making hand seals. Raiden, Shuriken Rebuffua. Lightning release, Shuriken Lightning Storm. Naruto pulled out a shuriken, throwing it at the incoming cloud of black insects. The Kakaicha made way for the shuriken, but as soon as it came close, tiny strands of lightning slammed into each bug, a good 3/4 of them falling to the floor as they were hit. "Don't worry, Shino, they're just stunned for a bit. I didn't fully charge it with chakra," Naruto said, before rushing to his opponent. After a quick bout of taijutsu, he managed to catch Shino with his Mokuton, Kiba Indo no Jutsu, wood release, tree bind technique, said bug user, finding himself squashed in a rapidly growing tree. "Victory goes to Naruto," Mizuki shouted to a round of trees. "Now could you please release him?" Naruto made another hand sign, the tree being reabsorbed by the ground. At the same time, Shino's fallen bugs got up, returning to their home. "Thank you for not decimating my horde." Think nothing of it," Naruto replied. "Oh look, Ino's against Sasuke." Ino quickly forfeit, knowing she was no match for the Uchiha genius, leaving him with Victory and Shikamaru to quickly win against some unimportant other genin, who would ultimately fail the year and thus does not deserve a name. The next round began, Iruka sporting a much lighter bowl this time. Hinata and Kiba. Kiba once again activated his 4 legs technique, rushing at his opponent. Hinata activated her Byakugan, pirouetting to the side from the vicious attack. She narrowly missed a claw, jumping over a spinning kick. She sidestepped an axe kick, surgically injecting chakra into several tenketsu there. The 2 fighters sprang away from each other. Kiba rushed at her again, a visible limp in his left leg. A few more tenketsu strikes later and Kiba had to be dragged out of the ring, humiliated at being beaten by a girl, and having his legs not obey him. Iruka called the match in her favor. Next, Shikamaru and Shino. "Troublesome," Shikamaru muttered, entering the ring. The match began, and Shino found himself quickly trapped in a shadow jutsu. "Kagame no jutsu, success," Shikamaru said, smirking slightly. However, Shino's bugs, independent of his jutsu, just flowed towards him, causing the Nara boy to run, the bug user following his footsteps. Shino found himself running towards one edge of the ring, while his opponent was closer to the middle, and with one final step, he was pushed out, and thus disqualified. His bugs returned to him. "Victory to Shikamaru," Mizuki said, before calling the next match. Chuji and Naruto. Chuji attacked the blonde, who gracefully assumed the whipping willow style. With the Akimichi's raw strength, he knew the Takuken would be less effective. Chuji aimed a sluggish but well-aimed punch at his opponent's head, who bent his back low. Naruto merged his dodge into a handstand, bringing his legs up against the plump boy's chest, sending his opponent back a couple of feet. Naruto jumped again after landing, aiming a dropping heel kick at the boy's shoulder. However, Chuji managed to sidestep it, slamming a palm out to intercept the blonde. Naruto twisted unnaturally in midair, just avoiding the palm. He was already doing hand seals as he landed. Doton, Yakai Danmaki. Earth release, earth barrage. The earth in front of Naruto rumbled a bit, groaning as Naruto slammed his palm into the floor. Golf ball-sized chunks of earth barraged the Akimichi, who could only shield his face with his arms as he was attacked. He was pushed back several meters, ultimately falling outside the ring. Victory to Naruto. Great match, Naruto said enthusiastically to the Akimichi, going to help him get up. The Akimichi took the outstretched hand, chuckling awkwardly. Sasuke gets a bye for this round, Iruka said, refilling the bowl with the remaining contestants. Naruto and Shikamaru, Mizuki announced. The two boys squared off, attacking each other. Naruto jumped over the shadow which wiggled towards him, making a Moku Bunshin as he did so. The Bunshin allowed itself to get caught in the shadow, and using the 60% of his original strength, resisted the will to move his legs. Meanwhile the real Naruto made a quick torch out of wood. Some thought he would light it with a Katon Jutsu, but Naruto almost puked at the mere thought of it. Instead he used one of the many survival camping jutsu to make a bright, shining light. The camping jutsu which Yamato had shown him were small things which just made a ninja's day easier, ranging from condensing water for drinking to making a wooden hut. This jutsu was supposed to cast a soft glow, but instead Naruto flooded it with chakra, making an almost blinding light. Shikamaru knew his shadow jutsu would be useless now, and to avoid a needless pummeling, he forfeited. Hinata and Sasuke. The two academy students entered the ring, facing each other. "You have no hope to win," Sasuke began, "as I am an Uchiha, our blood is dash." He was shut up by a Tenketsu strike to the shoulder, having not even noticed the match began. "Stop whining and fight already, Uchiha-deme!" Naruto shouted. He would have retaliated, but a Tenketsu strike to the other shoulder cut him off. He growled slightly. Turning to his opponent, Sasuke found that she already had her Byakugan active and was rushing towards him. He ducked a jab to his head, sidestepped one to his leg and dodged one to his stomach, but was caught off guard by the kick which slammed into his cheek. "Since when do Hyuga's kick?" "Raiden, Hiradajiki." Lightning release, palm shock. The girl's palm was instantly surrounded by crackling energy, and she rushed again to attack the Uchiha. He was nearly hit by the Tenketsu strike with her left hand, but dodged, only to have the electric palm slam into his stomach, sending him flying out of the ring, spasming slightly. Hinata wins. Mizuki announced as Sasuke was flocked by fangirls. "I can't believe I lost, to a girl, and a Hyuga no less." Sasuke growled inwardly. This, of course, left Hinata and Naruto to fight against each other. Some may have expected them to be too shy to fight each other, but they faced each other and were soon in a familiar routine of strike, counter-strike, parry and dodges. After a heated 5 minutes taijutsu battle, the two 11-year-olds jumped back, simultaneously forming hand seals. Half a minute later, the two of them were still performing hand seals. Iruka's eyes widened as he saw the last sequence. "Everyone scatter!" he shouted. All the children ran as far away from the ring without losing sight of the fight. Suten, Suiari Udan. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. Raiden, Raitama. Lightning release, lightning ball. In the face of Naruto's 20 feet tall water dragon, the small, lightning ball seemed negligible. The water dragon began to move towards its target, while the ball moved to said dragon. The ball began to expand as it moved, the yellow lightning becoming a stormy blue, until it was as large as the dragon's head. Everyone thought it still wouldn't be enough. Raitama, Katsu. The ball of electricity exploded, scattering the water dragon into pieces, sending electrically charged water everywhere. It wasn't far enough to reach the spectators, but Iruka watched in horror as the water fell on the two combatants, who had both put up earth shields. The two combatants allowed their shields to dissolve in the ground, running towards each other. Hinata jumped over Naruto's opening sweep kick, jabbing at his chest. Her attack was dodged, and she found herself sidestepping Naruto's punch. She knew that, had Naruto used his Mokuton techniques, she would have lost eons ago, but Naruto was too nice, right? Mokuton, Moku Wana Sato. Wood release, wood trap activate. Hinata looked down in horror, finding that she had indeed stepped on the small, palm-sized piece of wood required for the technique. It quickly grew, twining around her body like vines, holding her in a stiff embrace. It took Iruka a moment to realize that the match was over before he walked up to them. "All right, Naruto wins." Good job, everyone go inside." "Wait, Naruto, could you?" Iruka asked, vaguely pointing at the wet, pockmarked, burnt, uneven ground thanks to the 11-year-old's displays. "Oh sure," Naruto said cheerily. He held his hands in the snake seal, brown furrowing for a second. The mud smoothed over, grass regrowing till the training ground was back to its normal form. Don't you need some sort of jutsu for that? Iruka asked incredulously. What type of ninja would be stupid enough to make a jutsu for smoothing out some mud? That was just earth manipulation. Earth manipulation? Iruka thought dully, looking at the flawlessly smooth floor with fresh, even grass. Like a nobleman's his head wryly, the scarred man walked into the class, where he wished all the children would be obediently sitting on their desks. Which they were, thanks to Mizuki. Okay children, I have observed lots of things from the fights, the first being that Shikamaru, Sakura, and Ino will stay after school every day for remedial taijutsu where you will learn the academy style. But dash. Ino began. No buts. The rest of the children have at least taijutsu on par, so they do not need to learn it but you must. Iruka said finally. For this month, the top is Uzumaki Naruto, second is Hyuga Hinata, third is Uchiha Sasuke, fourth is Nara Shikamaru. Troublesome, Shikamaru thought lightly, glancing at the glare which Sasuke was generously giving to Naruto. As usual, Naruto's shadow clones popped one by one, giving him their information. His head usually spun for a while, but after 5 minutes meditation, he was able to sort out the information, before making 400 more clones to go back to training. He usually trained himself after school, or helped Hanabi with her training, but today he had to do something different. With that thought in mind, he picked up Hanabi, before setting off towards the Uchiha compound. Sasuke was pissed. Really pissed. Not that anyone cared. They were too busy laughing at his Harino pink hair and ballerina tutu, even the fangirls were giggling madly. Of course, he had no idea why they were laughing. I love genjutsu. Naruto thought, smirking at the Uchiha. This is his fault. The Uchiha thought, growling slightly. He was about to confront the evildoer, when the teacher walked in. Iruka walked in, not batting an eyelid at Sasuke's odd outfit. He began to call the register. Inyazuka Kiba. Here. Harino Sasuke. He what? Sasuke shrieked slightly. Ms. Harino. Iruka scolded. Please be silent while I call the register. You could practically see the fumes as Sasuke sat back down angrily. Actually, thanks to another quick genjutsu, you could see the fumes. Smelled like roses, too. The register went on, before Iruka put the book down, pulling out a chalk. Today we will be learning about binomial theorem. Groans reverberated throughout the class. Open your books to page 57. Everyone did so, expecting to find mind-boggling lists of A's, B's, N's and X's. Instead, they found themselves staring at very graphical pictures of Sasuke participating in less than approving actions with large, hairy men. Shrieks reverberated through the room, though many fangirls fainted, blood running from their noses. Sasuke moaned slightly, causing the whole room to stare at him. I mean, yo. Sasuke shouted loudly, throwing the book away. You, homo. Kiba, the ever homophobic, shrieked. Just then, another Iruka slammed into the classroom, sweaty and quite vexed. Naruto. He growled menacingly, the other Iruka gulping slightly. With a puff of smoke, it disappeared. The remaining teacher turned to find the perpetrator, but found that Naruto's desk was already empty. He sighed angrily, before disabling the genjutsu on Sasuke, and the genjutsu on everyone's books. Okay class, since you all failed to recognize such simple genjutsus, we will be learning genjutsu today, and there will be a test on it on Thursday. The class moaned, and the same thing was on their minds. Damn you Naruto. The year passed quickly, Naruto always coming first in the fighting, while Hinata always came first, beating even Sakura, in the knowledge. Before he knew it, the graduation day had come. Oh holy Lug! Naruto chanted the mantra, meditating in the school playground, upside down on a branch. It was 6 a.m., but Naruto decided that, best really early that really late. Besides, he could pray to the log. Oh savior! 2 hours later, but still 1 hour early, Hinata arrived, carrying a scroll with her. They greeted each other, before Naruto asked, "What's in the scroll, Hinata-chan?" Hinata sent a pulse of chakra into the scroll, where it said heat seal, and with a popping sound, 11 heavenly bowls of ramen appeared. Naruto took 10, eating fast, but not in a disgusting manner. Hinata ate her one bowl silently, looking at her friend. She wondered a bit, imagining a future where she would marry Naruto. Little blonde-haired children, with lavender streaks and large, pale eyes. She snorted, giggling as she imagined it. Like she would ever go out with Naruto, she saw him as more of a brother, it would almost feel incestuous. Naruto sent her a questioning glance, before shrugging, women. So, Naruto, do you remember the 7 upper body critical areas? Yes, the brain, the solar plexus. They reviewed material with each other for another hour, testing each other and doing some last-minute studies, even though neither needed it. As more children began to arrive, they abandoned their studies and greeted their friends, which was nearly everyone, except Sasuke and his merry band of fangirls. Before they knew it, they were sitting in a class, test papers in front of them. Start. Mizuki shouted, activating a timer. Let's see, thought Naruto. Ninja A is 30 meters away from Ninja B, who is on a cliff, 10 meters above the ground. The wind blows towards the south at 3 miles per hour. At what angle should Ninja A throw a kunai of 3 kilograms to hit Ninja B? Easy. Naruto quickly solved the questions, sure he would do good. He had once thought that, maybe he should fail on purpose or something, but Hinata had quickly talked him out of that. Flashback. Hinata-chan, I might hide my skills. Naruto said, eating his sandwich. Hinata swallowed her bite, replying. Oh? And what would such a thing pertain to? Well, I'd fail, or get just the pass mark on purpose I guess, and maybe I'd lose on taijutsu more often. Are you retarded? No. Naruto said defensively. The core of being a ninja is deception and stealth. Does that involve deceiving your comrades? She asked, slightly sarcastic. Well. Besides, are you willing to let Seiso team beat you up? No. Then it's settled. No failing. Hinata said, taking another bite. End flashback. Naruto sat back, rereading his paper, before putting it down and chewing his pencil. He looked around, finding Sakura staring ahead with a smug smile, Sasuke just about finishing, and Hinata relaxing. The test quickly finished and the children were led outside to a sparring ring. Now we will test your taijutsu. Iruka began. You will engage either Mizuki or myself, however we will not fight back, only defend. Your goal is to score 1 hit on us. Mizuki pulled out a bowl, filled with names. First up is Ino. Ino entered the ring, and although it took nearly 3/4 of the allotted 5 minutes per person, she finally managed to glance a punch against Iruka's shoulder. Next, Sakura. Sakura's fight was almost identical to Ino's, but she managed to hit Mizuki with a kick to the shin. Sasuke. Sasuke faced Mizuki, getting into his Uchiha stance. Although, had Mizuki been fighting back, he would have lost, he managed to land a backhand in a mere 20 seconds. His fangirls fawned, cheering over him. Beat that, dope, Sasuke said scaldingly. All his fangirls sneered at the blonde, saying degrading comments. Naruto. Iruka called, stepping into the ring. Begin. Punch. Oh how Naruto loved the Shunshin. With a record time of 0.5 seconds, Naruto passes this phase. Mizuki said, slightly disbelieving. Sasuke growled. Where does he get this power? I need this power, he does not deserve it. I need it to kill Itachi. Sasuke said, ranting angrily. Naruto walked back to his friends, who offered him congratulations. Everyone else managed to score a hit, Hinata beating Sasuke with an open palmed hit to Iruka's stomach after just 10 seconds. That just served to drive him into more of a fury. The raven-haired boy walked to the dobe. Dobe. Where did you get your power? He growled. The log hast bestowed it unto me, so I may serve it. Cut the bullcrap. Naruto gasped angrily. The holy log is not bullcrap. I'll show you bullcrap. With a few hand seals, Sasuke found himself sitting in, and smelling some illusionary bull turd. You're kidding me right? Sasuke said angrily. Kai. The shit disappeared, but the smell stayed, and no amount of frantic Kai. would get it off for some reason. Iruka walked over to the frantic boy, touching his forehead and muttering Kai. The smell disappeared, Iruka wondering how Naruto could weave a Haichunin level smell-altering genjutsu. Mizuki meanwhile called the children in for their last test. The children all took a seat in the classroom to which they were led, while Mizuki and Iruka entered a small, plain door in the corner of the room. Mizuki then poked his head out and shouted for Kiba to enter. As the chatter began, Kiba nervously entered, coming back barely a minute later, the proud owner of a forehead protector. Naruto cheerily patted him on the back, waiting for his turn. Everyone managed to get their forehead protector, except the nameless academy student dude who was mentioned a couple of chapters ago. Anywho, soon enough, Naruto's name was called, Iruka's scarred face appearing to call him. He confidently walked into the room, finding himself in an unused classroom, Mizuki sitting on a desk, while Iruka was standing up, holding a clipboard, chewing a pen. Naruto. Mizuki began. I'd like you to display a henge please. Naruto, without hand seals, or even talking, became a log. Okay then. Iruka said, ticking something on his board. Clone jutsu please. Which one? Naruto asked. What do you mean? Well, I know 6. Iruka's eyes bugged out, but he remained calm. Well, display whatever you like. You can get extra credit if I find your other ones are good. Bunshin no jutsu. Naruto muttered, making a seal. 4 illusionary clones appeared. Mizu Bunshin no jutsu. 4 Narutos formed from a cup of water next to Iruka, who frowned slightly. I was going to drink that. The water clones fell in a splash of water, some falling to the ground, the rest returning to the cup. He got a lot of that water from the air. Mizuki thought. Chuchi Bunshin no jutsu. Nothing happened at first. Then 3 Narutos outside knocked on the window. There's no rock here, and I didn't want to spoil the floor by bringing some up. Naruto said in a way of explanation. All right. Continue. Iruka said. Kage Bunshin no jutsu. Naruto intoned, 5 clones forming. Just as quickly they puffed into smoke. Kaze Bunshin no jutsu. Naruto said, this time using 2 hand seals. The clones formed looked exactly like a shadow clone, but when dispelled, the surrounding floor got cut deeply. I've never heard of wind clones. Mizuki thought wryly. And finally, Moku Bunshin no jutsu. Naruto said, making 3 clones which grew, quite grossly, in Mizuki's honest opinion, from different parts of Naruto's body. Okay, well, I could honestly pass you with just that, but I think you should show me a kawarimi. Once again with nary a sound nor hand seal, Naruto kawarimi'd, a leaf appearing where he was. Did he just kawarimi with something that small through a solid object? Iruka thought incredulously, referring to the wooden wall. Naruto kawarimi'd again, the leaf disappearing as Naruto came back into sight. Iruka handed him a forehead protector, which he tied around his waist. Congratulations Naruto, you are now a fully fledged leaf genin. You will find out your teams tomorrow, at 9 AM. Don't forget to come. Thanks Iruka-sensei. Naruto said cheerily, exiting. He was quickly greeted by Hinata, who, seeing his new adornment, was quick to congratulate. Congratulations Naruto. She said happily. We both passed. And I'm second, you're Rookie of the Year. Oh, hee, I didn't think of that. Naruto replied. Thanks though. How about some celebratory ramen later? Oh, I can't. Hinata replied, her tone apologetic. I will probably have to spend the day with my family. Alright then. Naruto said, still slightly cheery but not so much. The 2 friends sat back down, waiting as Iruka tested one last person before finally exiting. He stood in front of 9 newly promoted genins, and he begun to give a speech. I have no doubt that you have all learned at least something in the past year, but the mark of a true teacher is one who learns from his students, as well as teaches. And if there's one thing I've learned from all of you, it's that you will not appreciate a boring long speech. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Be there. Iruka said, his puff of smoke as he shunshined drowned out by the sound of cheering. Naruto walked out, alongside Hinata as the silence died down. So when will your fa? Naruto began as they walked into the playground. Oh, speak of the devil, there he is. And never a paler devil there was. Hayashi replied, inwardly smiling. Naruto gulped nervously, wondering how on earth the ninja had heard him from so far. Come, Hinata, we must go. By Hinata-chan, Hayashi-sensei. Naruto, you are invited to dinner later, at 9 o'clock. Really? Naruto asked excitedly, brightening up immediately. Hinata's face betrayed her surprise. This is odd, the feast with the Hyuga is at 5, which obviously means, father invited him to our small personal meal. She thought, it was odd how Naruto had wormed his way into her immediate family's hearts. Yes. Besides, if I did not invite you, Hanabi would surely wreak vengeance. And hell hath no dash. Wrath like an angry woman. Naruto completed wisely. I was going to say an angry Hyuga, but that works too. Hayashi said. See you later, Hayashi-sensei. Naruto exclaimed happily, before shining off. Naruto sat on the Hokage monument, meditating. He had several hours till he needed to even get home to get ready, never mind go to the Hyuga household, so he decided to get some minor training in. The blonde boy expelled some chakra from his tenketsu, allowing it to dissipate. He carefully tracked where the chakra went to, thus serving two purposes, increasing chakra control and improving chakra sensing skills. Naruto decided to change his method, using the chakra he expelled to control the wind around him. It began to spin around him gently, ruffling his spiky hair. He increased the speed, but kept a tight fist on the control, wondering where this random experimentation would get him. He loved random experimentation, it was how he had made the Kaze Bunshin. The wind continually spun around him, gaining in speed. Some pebbles from nearby got pulled in, becoming gray streaks in the moving wind, also inspiring the young lad. He at first attempted to add earth chakra straight away, but quickly found himself losing control of the wind. He released the earth chakra, reaffirming his hold on the wind. It seemed the earth chakra was too solid for the flexibility of the wind. He'd have to find another way to combine them. So, with nothing else to do, he released some water-based chakra from his hands, allowing his tenketsu to release wind-based chakra continually. It was very hard to concentrate on both, but his experience with Mokuton allowed him to do so. As soon as Naruto released the water chakra, the rapidly moving wind became a speedily moving torrent of wind-powered water. It was to that sight Mizuki walked to the top of the monument. His plans to get the scroll had still not developed, and once he saw the majestic blue orb of water, a slightly shimmering figure of Naruto barely visible behind it, a proverbial light bulb lit above him. He waited for a couple more minutes till the young blonde decided to let go of the water. Mizuki-sensei. Can I help you? Naruto asked, having sensed the man before he even got to the monument. Oh, well, as you know you're the number one rookie, but we both know your talent exceeds such a position. Seeing Naruto's silence, Mizuki continued. So I have a proposal, you can be instantly promoted to Chunin if you can complete a task for me. Really? Naruto asked excitedly, not believing the man for a second. His log senses were tingling. Yep. Mizuki replied, his hope increasing. All you have to do is retrieve a scroll from the Hokage's office and learn at least one jutsu from it, you will be promoted to Chunin. The scroll looks like this. Mizuki said, showing a photo he had retrieved from Orochimaru. Naruto instantly recognized it. He had seen it in his fourth or fifth time in the Hokage's office, having asked what it was. The Sandaime's simple reply was, the legacy of Konoha's skill. Meet me in the forest at 7 if you manage. I will, sensei, in the name of the log. That's it for part 2. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.